Welcome back in, everybody, to the JAKIB post-game show. Dan, Sileo, Zander Krause left with you guys here late on the East Coast. It's 1 a.m. on the East Coast. Dan, the Eagles are 1-0, my man. Feels pretty good as an Eagles fan. I know you're not as much of a fan of the team, but Sills, they get the win, man. I think it's good stuff. They start the season 1-0.
Remember what I told you. If they run the ball more than 25 times, they win the game.
Sills, you 100% said that, brother.
They win the game if they run the ball more than 25 times. And that's exactly what they did in that football game. Because to me, Zander, I think they figured out that the inconsistency with the quarterback in this game tonight was on display.
I was surprised, Sills. Jordan Love didn't impress me tonight.
No, absolutely. And by the way, it's being reported now that he may have torn his ACL.
Yeah,
so
I know. Jeez,
he may be out for the year. But
you're right. Look, Sills, what you said before the break, people take it the wrong way. You're right, though. That's the NFL. It's the war of attrition, and this happens all over the league. You never want to see a guy get hurt, but look, it looks like it happened. I see Forrest.
And it benefits the Eagles. It benefits the Eagles because that takes another contender out of the top of the echelon teams in the NFC. And again, Zander, it becomes tough talk because you're talking about a player that's hurt. Well, guess what? No one cares about that in the NFL. You're talking about seeding. You're talking about what teams now. That probably moves another team up like the Rams now into the conversation because the Rams now are probably more of a team that looks more complete than what the Packers are going to, because obviously now the Packers did make a move for a backup quarterback. I forget who they ended up bringing up there, but they ended up signing a backup quarterback who I think may end up helping him. It was prior to the season starting. I forget who that was, but do I think he's Jordan Love? Absolutely not. But I think this elevates the Rams for them to be able to be in that spot where Green Bay. Now, I'm not saying they're the third best team.
No, you're right.
We'll see what the Rams do, but I think that makes them more of a viable scenario. It was Willis from Tennessee. That's right. That will be probably taking over for the Green Bay Packers now.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening. He took a sack at the end of the game there. Dan, I want to get to a couple super chats. By the way, everybody in the chat, appreciate all of you guys being here. I love our JAKIB Sports community so much. You guys mean a lot to me. You make the channel work. So we appreciate all you guys being here. Just hit that like button if you enjoy the shows. It really does help us grow. Tons of people watching. So we appreciate all of you guys for being here. Sills, I'm going to get to a couple super chats. We got some big boys. James Carver drops a $20 super chat. He says Josh Sweat, JD, as in Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. But Sweaty most caused pressure on Love's missed opportunities tonight. The best defenders tonight were Bond, Sweat, Jordan Davis, Quinyon Mitchell, and Jalen Carter in that order. And Milton didn't have a great start to bet on himself. Agreed with the Milton point, James Carver. I think your layout, by the way, of the best defenders tonight is spot on. And Sileo, to your credit, you talked about Sweat a little bit in those first couple segments. What do you have to say back to James here?
I'd say this to James. I'd go, well, JD and Carter did not play well in the fourth. They got ran over, especially in the second half. I mean, Jacobs and the Packers were running at 7 yards a clip. I mean, if you look at the yards, they had 170 yards, almost 170 yards running the ball. That's not a good effort, okay? I thought they were good in the first quarter, Zander. And again, like I said, the thing that my opinion is that holding them off the 14 points and only surrendering the 6 in the first 10 minutes or 14 minutes of the game in the first quarter, in my opinion, that's the difference in the ball game because they were able to do that. So, I mean, they did well early, but in my opinion, later on, they got ran over.
No doubt about it. Good stuff there from James Carver. James, appreciate the super chat, man. We appreciate it. George Norris checks in with a $10 super chat. George, appreciate it, brother. He says, on the interception in the end zone, A.J. Brown slipped, but situational football, no turnover, and at worst, we get a field goal there and are up 8, so don't throw that risky pass. Yeah, George, look, I had a problem tonight with some of Jalen Hurts' decision-making. You know, even that one, there was a pass even after his second interception, Dan, that was like a short slant route to A.J. Brown, and Jair Alexander was right there. And I'm looking, I'm just like, his decision-making tonight, I just didn't understand it.
He almost had a pick 6. You're talking about the one going into
the exactly. That too. That too.
Going up the sideline there, I thought he was going to get a pick 6 there. I mean, you know, they put pressure on him from the perimeter out there. And again, you know, Zander, to me, the missing link in that whole game tonight was the quarterback. He was not impressive tonight. he was impressive with his wheels. But as a
Yeah,
passer,
I'm a little surprised at your take, by the way, in the open. I mean, look, I get what you're saying where I said, are you concerned? And you kind of said, I'm not really. It's going to be an acclimation
because
period.
I said that this was, I said this, I go, if you don't think this is going to be bumpy.
Yeah, but Sills, they were bad decisions. There were like John
They
said,
expected
there
it.
were cardinal errors. You're on your back foot in your own end zone.
I expected
and
it.
Devontae Smith with 4 guys surrounded by him, and you heave it up.
I expected it.
That's just
I said
bad.
it.
That's
I
bad
expected
football.
it. He's because you know why, Jalen Hurts is still learning, Zander, what they're asking him to do in reading defenses and motion and setting pass protection. It was going to be I said it. How many times do you think I said it today that Jalen Hurts was going to have a rocky game today? I said it all 4 hours. He was going to have a rocky game, and he did. He did not do anything crazy what I thought he wasn't going to do. I was surprised by the 3 turnovers. Okay, again, this is something that's carried over from a year ago now. We're starting to see a trend here where this guy is turning the ball over. I'm not ready to say he's a turnover machine, but Jesus, Xander, if we get into that Atlanta game and this guy has 3 more turnovers, we're going to start making that proclamation that this guy doesn't care. He doesn't protect the football enough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I agree with you on that for sure, Sills. Edgar checks in. Edgar, appreciate you being here, brother. He says Sill was absolutely right. They should have played in the preseason. Sills, I never want to hear somebody tell me again that you shouldn't play your starters at least one series in the preseason. We just talked about the turnovers. That fumble, that wasn't as much on Jalen Hurts. That was
on
just
Cam.
I know, but it was just a miscommunication. Exactly.
Right.
It's a miscommunication. You gotta you gotta iron out some of that stuff.
That's right.
I never want to hear another gut person tell me they shouldn't play in preseason. Now, I don't think the Eagles are gonna play him in preseason no matter what. But boy, you're right. You were right all offseason when you talked about that. You really
How about this, Andrew? Didn't it look like the defense, at least, even with the limited talent that they had, were better prepared for the game tonight than what the offense was?
No doubt. 100%.
Wait, let me restate it. Doesn't it look like the defense was more prepared than the quarterback was?
Yeah, and they have lesser talent.
They have lesser talent on that side of the ball.
Prepared. Yep. No, you're right. You're spot on with it. So look, I agree with you for sure. So hopefully they'll get those guys out there in the future. I don't know if they will, but Sean checks in, says the same thing. Sean, appreciate the super chat, my man. He says this is why you got to play preseason. Slow start almost hurt them for sure, Sean. And by the way, Sills, we got lucky. I mean, that game started, we were down 6-0. That easily could have been 14-0. Green Bay got the ball at the 30, 40-yard line twice, and they weren't able to capitalize with 2 touchdowns. They settled for 2 field goals. I thought that was a turning point in the game there. If Green Bay takes a big lead there, this is a completely different ball game. So definitely interesting to see with that. Eric Holland checks in. He says, did we change the narrative from last year tonight? Eric, no. I'm going to say no yet. Yeah, I'm going to say no.
No way. And I'll tell you something else. And I'll ask you this, Xander. Do you think you can go, and I asked John this, and I'll ask you this. Do you think you can carry the same amount of volume of touches for Barkley for 17 weeks?
I don't. Look, I don't. I thought tonight was too much. I mean, and there were moments tonight, Sills, where he could have gotten.
They needed him.
I know, but they couldn't.
Playing well.
He had what, 24 carries, I think, and 2 receptions. I thought it easily could have been over 30. There were a couple read options that Jalen took it, and he clearly should have given it to Saquon. It was a dumb decision to keep it. And then there were some other moments where Saquon should have got the ball as well. I mean, you're right. They needed him for 30-plus carries. I don't know if he's going to hold up. I mean, that's a lot of touches for any back. I don't care who you are. So we'll see. But, it's an interesting point by you on how much he could, how long he'll last with it. So we will see. I do want to thank, by the way, all of our members, Sills. We got tons of new members tonight.
Fantastic.
Hunter Cross, appreciate it. Yeah, man. Joe Gibson, appreciate you becoming a member. Cody K, my man Cody K, appreciate it, brother. Chad Whitaker becomes a member. Jamie and Thompson becomes a member. Holly First, Andrew Hernandez, Tyrone Bell, and Rashid Mixon. So thanks to all you guys for becoming a member. You guys are all officially entered into the Saquon Barkley jersey giveaway. We appreciate that. very much. Any other super chats I want to get to? I know I missed a couple. You guys were great. We had too much going on in that open to hit them all, but I do want to. Oh, here's Mike Witt, a depressed Packer fan, checks in. Sills. He says, "Congratulations from a depressed Packers fan. Good game. Just hoping and praying Love isn't too hurt. Maybe a rematch in the playoffs." Mike, I love you, brother. Appreciate you being here. I don't know, man. It doesn't look good for Drew. Did you see that video, Sills, of the?
I did.
Yeah.
What you
The
can
knee
only hope
popping.
for is him being young, and that it's a stretched ligament, and you're hoping that it's more of that than it is a torn. Because if it's torn, you're talking 18 months. You're talking about maybe for training camp next year. And again, that's a catastrophic injury that you did not want for a $50 million plus quarterback. And boy, that really hurts the opportunity for the Packers to progress this year, because I thought they had a good team. But again, Xander, I was disappointed with their effort. They did not. I mean, they were worse on defense than I thought they were going to be. I mean, I quite frankly, you could make the argument, well, I thought the Eagles were better on defense than what Green Bay was.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Sills, I want to go to this super chat because this is a guy you've talked about a lot in the offseason. Michael Robinson checks in with $10. Michael, appreciate your support, man, of the channel. He says Dean was almost a star tonight if he only caught that pick six. That was a tough drop. But Sills, I do want to ask you, what did you see from Nakobe Dean as a defensive player yourself tonight? You know, I thought he struggled in coverage, but overall, I thought he was all right. What did you see from Nakobe tonight?
Mixed game. You know, I thought a lot of
that tonight, right?
A lot of false steps, but there were plays that he made. I loved the play that he made on the running back out in the perimeter. That was a big hit on him. I thought that again, he would, and you know what? You know, everyone's killing the kid because the kid missed the interception. You know what, to me, made me like what he did in that moment? He was in the right place.
Instinctive. Yep.
He was in the right place. And so,
by the way, how about that hit he had?
Yeah, but does that come with just more reps that he makes that play? You know, this guy's only had 218 plays. So again,
yeah, you're right.
Plus he got out of the game healthy. So again, does that change my narrative on him? Absolutely not, because I saw how about this? Like I said, it's a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag on a lot of guys. Hey, Jalen Carter tonight. I thought Jalen Carter had a mixed bag. I thought Jordan Davis had a mixed bag. Bryce Huff was terrible tonight. He was just a non-factor.
He was a complete non-factor. Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell was all over the field. And by the way, they ran that stretch play on his ass. That's how they got up the sidelines. I mean, he couldn't set the perimeter and he couldn't set the edge. They weren't going to run at Josh Sweat's side because Sweat was setting the edge on that side. They ran when they wanted to run that stretch play. The number one thing they did, Xander, is exactly what I said. They would run it right at Huff, and they ran it right at Huff. And I'll say one more time, two guys that you could put on a milk carton, Nolan Smith and Bryce Huff. You need to manufacture more pass rushing. And those two guys have to be counted on, Xander. These guys have to be an impact. BG tonight was more of an impact than what Bryce Huff was tonight.
Yeah, you think the pass rush could be a concern here coming into these next couple of weeks?
Absolutely, because now you're taking on another quarterback who throws the ball, and he's a professional passer. Whatever you think of Kirk Cousins puts numbers up. Kirk Cousins is a guy, you could say whatever you want. He still is an effective guy in this league, and if you can't pressure him, think about it. Last year, Sam Howell threw for almost 800 yards on you. And would you put Sam Howell in the same league with Cousins? I wouldn't. Okay, so if you don't get pressure, anybody could throw for a ton of yards against you.
No doubt about it. You're spot on, Sil. So hopefully that pass rush can get it going here. Philly D becomes a member. Philly D, appreciate it. Emmy, thank you for becoming a member. Just 5 minutes left to go here tonight on the JAKIB Postgame Show. Our first ever JAKIB Postgame Show with Dan Sileo and John McMullen and myself. Happy to have this new crew. I think it's going to be a great season with everybody. Appreciate all of you guys being here in the chat. Big Sil's 5 minutes left, man. What other takeaways that you had that maybe I didn't hit on tonight? Overall, man, they're 1-0. I thought they got, I mean, look, in the NFL, you're happy to get a win, right? No matter how you get it. And I think they got that out. They obviously got that tonight. So I'm feeling good as an Eagle fan. But what other takeaways did you have from the game?
Let me throw this at you that I would do on the Dan Sileo show on the National Football Show on Monday. What was the number one thing? Well, no, I'll throw it out to you, Xander. You know what I noticed? The number one thing on the sidelines is that Nick Sirianni at
Nowhere
no
near
time
Jalen. Yeah.
was nowhere near Jalen Hurts, and it was all the quarterback coach, and it was all Kellen Moore speaking to him. He went over and talked to the O-line. He talked to the receivers. He talked to the defensive guys, but he was nowhere to be seen talking to Jalen Hurts. I wonder if that is by design, that he has been told to stay away from him during the sidelines, because Nick was talking to everybody but Hurts. And it was an observation that I made. And to me, it just made it seem that they didn't want him involved in any way whatsoever in the play calling, and that the only thing that Nick was involved was timeouts and what they were doing, because that was his responsibility. Did you notice that he was nowhere near Jalen Hurts anytime in that game?
I noticed your tweet, and then I went and looked at it, and I noticed that then all game. You're right. Nick wasn't much near Jalen, so it's definitely going to be something to monitor kind of all season long. I don't know how it's going to. Maybe it won't matter much. Maybe he's good with just Kellen handling it, but got to be weird, right? To get kind of castrated in that way, where you went from being the main guy in the quarterback's ear to now being.
Well, how many times did Jalen used to come up to him after a series, and those two guys would at least say something to one another? Jalen doesn't even go over to him when they walk off the field now. He goes directly to Kellen Moore, and he goes directly to the quarterback coach. And I thought that was a difference. How about this? I don't know what it means, but it just looked like completely the setup was on display tonight.
Yeah, no, you're right. For sure. You're definitely right on that. So definitely something that we're going to be monitoring all season long here. Just a couple minutes left to go. I do want to ask our viewers a question, and if you guys could get back to me in the chat, I will read your responses. There was talk that you guys wanted me to do a post game show. I'll let Sileo get the hell out of here. He's had a long day of work today with the 4-hour national football show and this. But if you guys want to come on the show, I'll drop the StreamYard link, and some of you guys can join. I'd like to talk to some of the fans. I always like to get a gauge on where you guys are. So if someone's willing
to
come on.
By the way, they've been great tonight. They've been great tonight.
They've been great in the chat, but in the chat is different than if you want to come on. If you guys want to come on the show, that's what I'm asking. So if somebody wants to come on the show, drop it. There's Joe Whip. I was waiting for you, Joe. I knew you're up. So if you guys are up, I'll take a break here at the top of right here in a couple minutes here. And then on the other side, we'll bring it in. So we got 493 likes. Let's try and get that up to 500 plus. Appreciate all of you guys. Big Sills, great show tonight, man. I thought it was a great first post-game show. Oh, Q Ball, did I miss your Superman? Let me get that before I get to let Sills out of here.
Hey, by the way, Q, thank you for the text messages over on the tweets over on my Twitter. By the way, over on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show, all the people that are in my and in our post game and pregame and on the show, if you notice, I always only respond to you guys and no one else, because you guys have the exclusive on what we were doing by watching the football game. So I got to tell you, Xander, I've been absolutely floored by the response tonight by the pre and post game show. So, and again, folks, I'll just tell you this, it's a different setup for me when I'm more of an analyst and then what it is on Monday. Don't worry, baby. Don't worry, baby. Fire and brimstone, Monday, 4 to 6, or excuse me, 2 to 6. Don't worry, homies. I'm coming for all of you because your boy didn't play. Well, I'll leave it there and I'll wait for it on Monday, 2 to 6 on the National Football Show.
A little tease of the National Football Show coming up on Monday. Nothing like Big Sills. Everybody, look, you might love them, you might hate them, but there's nothing like Big Sills here on JAKIB Sports. So we appreciate it. Big Sills, great show tonight, man. We're going to take that commercial break. I'll come back. I'll kick it around with our viewers a little bit longer as we have a big crowd in here right now. Sills, great show tonight, man. We appreciate you doing it. I thought your analysis was spot on, both on pregame and on the postgame. Looking forward to doing it each week with you, my man, and we'll be looking forward to your show on Monday. All right, brother?
You bet, man. Thank you guys for having me and all of you for coming aboard with us and making it what I thought it would be, but then when you see it and what it is, still the number one show in Philadelphia when it comes to covering Eagles pre and post. You may try to duplicate it, but you can't replicate it, and it was on display tonight. Everyone wants to try to do it, Xander, but no you doubt, and the Krauses have made a statement tonight by doing this. Guess what? Doubt. There's no question. Nobody does it like JAKIB Sports here covering the Eagles. Thanks for having me, brother.
Appreciate it, brother. We're going to get a commercial break. We'll come back and I'll talk to some of you guys in the chat. I'm going to put the link to join the show. So if you guys want to join, definitely check in. We're going to do that next. Thank you, Sills. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody.
Walk well and